Rejecting the message, I call for unity. I'm rejecting the message, I call for unity.
For a long, long time, we've been deceived by the illusion. We're called by different names, and this has served to just confuse us. When all is said and done, to be one's our revolution. We never stand alone, cause unity's our resolution.
Hotep, I'm Dr. Gloria Lattimore Peace, host and producer of OmniU Presents the H3O Art of Life show, and I'm particularly delighted this evening because I have a wonderful guest in the studio, and we are going to talk about a wonderful subject. I'm calling this Taking Care of Business, Consumer Education. And I never mean what most people mean when they use words, so I'm going to tell you what I mean when I use these words, consumer education. I would just argue that all education for black people is consumer education. We are trained, we are taught to be consumers. We are not trained or taught to be producers, and therefore we continue to be dependent upon other people for the things that we need to sustain us. So I wanted to have that conversation, and I found somebody who is capable of having that conversation with me, and I want to greet my guest, Toure Muhammad.
Greetings, greetings. It's such a pleasure to be here. I thank you so much.
I'm so happy you're here. I'm going to read all about you. Just hold on, audience. I'm going to tell you about Toure Muhammad because he's got a lot of stuff that you should know. In 2001, after spending time writing for the Final Call newspaper and seeing how much mainstream media got the story wrong, and I can go along with that because I used to publish the Mo Better News, and I saw how often they got the story wrong. One of my headlines was called "Reading Between the Lies."
Because that's a beautiful headline.
Wasn't that a beautiful headline?
That is.
Because that's what happens to us all the time.
That's right.
So once you saw that, then you wanted to create a publication that provided an additional outlet for the community. See, we've been on the same path. Help promote local businesses and parody mainstream media. After surveying a few people, you knew you were not alone in this, so Bean Soup Times was born. I'm going to stop right there and ask about Bean Soup Times.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, it's such a labor of love. Bean Soup Times, and I call it Bean Soup because it's a mixture of different things. And the whole goal was to create something that had some humor to it, and I would take a very humorous but satirical and critical look at the news and at our actions. So, for example, I had one headline, it was one of my favorites. It said that black-owned businesses are calling for a limited return to segregation. They didn't want the water hoses or the dogs.
Right.
But if we could force black folks to buy from black-owned businesses, that would recycle the dollar. So, there was some seriousness to it, but I had a humorous approach to kind of help rearrange people's mental furniture.
Right.
And that's when I started with Bean Soup Times, was that satirical news.
Okay. Well, if we're going to get the attention of people, we probably don't get the attention to remain with us for very long if we bore people by lecturing them.
That's right.
So I think that to appeal to them, to appeal to their imagination was a good move on your part. And I always tried to have headlines that would capture the attention of people and make you had to look twice,
right?
Because you'd seen this before, but never in this particular format. I was preparing for this. I was reviewing again Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of the Negro.
Yes, beautiful book.
And people always quote the quote about when you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. If you say Carter G. Woodson, everybody will recite that together.
That's right.
But the one thing that never seems to be emphasized is he has a whole essay on making this distinction between getting a job and making a living.
That's right.
You want to talk about that?
Yes. Well, I can't remember verbatim
but
how
you want
he
to talk
phrased
about
it,
how
but he
you
talks
see
about
that.
producing.
Yeah.
He talked about the need to produce, and wow, such a visionary. what would he be thinking today to see us as mainly consumers?
You could actually
today?
quote from this book today and think that it was written today.
Right.
Because
it's like a headline in the news.
He said immigrants come and they look around and they see a need or a service that it needs to be provided, and they move to fill that void.
Wow.
And I thought of so many examples of that. My father-in-law was an entrepreneur. He was a person who just, I don't know if he ever worked for anybody else. Of course, he was an adult when I met him. But the thing was, he always understood that he was supposed to be a businessman.
That's right.
And he also
Beautiful.
understood that he was supposed to clone himself, that he was not supposed to have just one little storefront,
Right.
but that he was supposed to have a cooperative thing going on. He
Right,
may not have called it cooperative, but that's certainly what it was, because there were other members. He owned a cleaning business on the west side, and there were other members of the family that had branches.
Wow.
And so they were over here and over there, and he drove around in the truck picking up all the stuff, bringing it to the central plant where he did all of the cleaning, had all the cleaning and pressing done in one location.
One location.
And then it was taken back to the branches.
Wow.
I saw him do that, but he talked to me. I was so impressed by that. He talked to me about his employer before he became a businessman. He said he worked for the person who was the founder of the Sealy Mattress Company. And this man was with a horse and wagon going down the alleys, picking up old mattresses and renovating them in a garage. And he was the one who was doing the renovations. When he recognized that this man came here who could barely speak English, and was able to come into his community and make a living, then he knew that there was something he needed to do.
Wow, that is beautiful. That's an incredible story.
And you know, at the time that he was telling me this, the people who owned the mattress company, who were now the sons of the founder, had just given $400,000 to the United Jewish Appeal.
Wow.
I mean, they were that big.
Right.
You see, they were in Rosemont with their big new headquarters. And my father-in-law's son was working for his next generation, was working for his former employer.
Wow.
You see?
Wow.
But the employer's sons were working for him.
Right.
So
right.
eventually his son came to work for him.
Right.
So he followed that model. But the thing is, you talk a lot about businesses. You promote businesses. Marketing is one of your fortes. So talk about how you see that.
Wow. I mean, the story you just shared is so critical. It's such an example. Our businesses today, we have so many giants who are, quote unquote, Sealy's in the making. And the biggest challenge that I have and the biggest joy I have is seeing someone with that kind of ingenuity right now, that they're making something in their kitchen. They're producing something, you know, they're getting some shea butter and putting essential oils and creating this wonderful stuff. You know, when I see the passion and the commitment, I see them 10 years from now where they're going to be. And while some people say, well, you know, he's in his basement doing it. Well, that's not where he's going to stay with that kind of commitment. But we have to realize that's where businesses start. They start very small. And I have so much more respect and love for the one who is like Sealy, going in the alleys taking the garbage that somebody else threw away and creating something to start a business with, than someone who's sitting around waiting for the money to come with because they got a business plan and they're waiting for the money to flow in. Oh, just give me $1 million to start my business. No, start where you are. And that's, if more of us did that, we would have so many more businesses today. So I have just a wonderful group of people, and they're all on different levels. Some are just starting off, some have been around 28 years, but I just love to share good news about phenomenal champions in business.
Well, I think that's just wonderful that you are hooked up and connected like that. And thinking further about this whole idea of starting from where you are, which is that Booker T. Washington thing,
That's
cast
right.
down your bucket.
Cast down your bucket.
Where you are. When I'm thinking about the number of businesses, not only that we have started in our own community,
Right.
but businesses that have been started from things that we started in our community, and somebody took it outside and made,
Yes.
millions.
Yes.
You not old enough for this, but let me tell you, when you were a little boy,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
maybe before you were born, the barber was the preacher. Reverend so-and-so cut hair in his basement. The women got their hair done in Miss so-and-so's kitchen. When you needed somebody to take care of the children, there was Miss Mama so-and-so or Miss so-and-so who kept all the neighborhood children. Then you had the candy lady.
Right.
There was a lady who had
I remember
candy
that.
in
We
her
had-
house,
Yes.
and she had sodas, and she had all kinds of little treats, and they
Right.
were in her house.
Right.
And the kids made 50 trips a day to her house to get the treats. So we had this, all of this was taken care of. Then what happened was that they moved in on us, and they started insisting that people be licensed to do what they already knew how to do.
Right. That's right.
Learn stuff they didn't. Who needs to know the bones and the circulatory system to do somebody's hair?
Right.
But they made the barbers and the cosmetologists go to school and take so many hours and pay these licenses and upgrade the licenses. So they took that over.
That's right. Like they're doing lactations now.
Right. And you can't do a babysitting thing in your house. You got to
Right.
have a license. So the thing is that they took a lot of business out of the community. We cast down our buckets.
That's right. That's right.
But they took a lot of that out of the community. The other thing that I think I probably resent is that there are companies, there was a man, see, I've been here a long time. There was one man in our neighborhood who used to buy pork skins, or what they call pork rinds. He'd put them in a real hot oven, and they'd bubble up and become crispy, the same thing they do in Latino neighborhoods right now. And he'd put them in little brown bags, and he'd stand out on the corner, and he would sell what he called skins. And he'd have hot sauce. You'd get them with a hot sauce and get them without hot sauce.
Right.
Well, now you've got a company
Right.
that sells this product in packages, and if you travel and you go in any service station and go in inside, you will find these products.
Different flavors.
We
now.
we invented that. We invented that. Then there's the ice shavings. We used to make
Right.
snowballs.
Right, snowballs.
Go buy the ice, shave the ice, pour the different, do a suicide, pour all the different flavors
Right,
on there.
Right.
Now you go into a supermarket, and they got a whole section. Millions of dollars have been made from products that came out of our imagination.
That's right. That's right.
So it should bother us that we are buying things that we know how to make ourselves.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And that is, like you were saying earlier, that is the biggest problem. No community, no group of people can survive as only consumers. We have to be creators of jobs. When the big problem with China right now, and what's being said, we need to make jobs in America. The economy was being challenged in California. Schwarzenegger, we got to create jobs in California. That's the battle cry for when a community is suffering economically. And we have to do the same thing. If more of us produced, just like we did back in the times of Ghana, Mali, and Songhay, way before that. Somebody has salt, somebody has gold, somebody has wheat, and we go and we trade at the marketplace. The more we can produce, then the more we have to trade with each other and create our own economy. You don't see, other communities that have good, strong communities here in Chicago begging for jobs.
When I see all of these nail salons,
It's a lot
I
of
say,
them.
now wait a minute, can we do nails? I mean, can we, do
can.
we really need somebody to come to sail across the ocean
Right.
to
Right, we
land
do
in our
not.
neighborhoods and can we do that?
We absolutely can.
You know, I mean, some things are just no-brainers.
That's
You just say, okay, this we could do.
That's right.
You know, and
That's
this
right.
we ought to be, I look for, when I get ready to do business, I look for people who look like me.
That's right.
Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who was the founder of the
Yes.
DuSable Museum, that was her mantra.
Yes.
She said, you need to look for people who look like you to do business with. And Dr. Margaret Burroughs was as liberal a person. She was not nationalistic in her thinking at all, except for it was practical to her
It just makes sense.
to look for someone to do. So when I get ready to get something done, then my yellow pages are my own people.
Right. That's right.
I just call up folks I know. And
That's right.
especially folks I know who have done what it is I'm wanting to do.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's better to have a recommendation of somebody who's been satisfied with the service
That's right.
of the products than to go to yellow pages.
That's right.
And you don't know what you're
You don't
getting.
know what you're getting. That's right.
You do marketing.
Yes.
How do you choose the people for whom you'll work?
You know, that's a wonderful question, and it's always a challenge because there's this balance of finding people who are ready and willing to market and finding people with a product or service that I can get passionate about. I love to promote quality products that make a difference in people's lives. So a great day for me would be able to have a day full of clients where I'm talking about that product like it was my grandmother made it or my aunt made it. So the balance is making sure that each one of those has all the tools they need so that when I promote, because it's like I put my name out there.
Your reputation.
If somebody has a problem with the product, sometimes they call me before they call the person. And luckily it doesn't happen a lot, and it happens much less now because as I'm growing in business, I am able to be more selective. When I first started, okay, everybody, look, you got a product, let me help get the message out. How much? Here's how much, But now I'm growing to the point where I can tell people, you know what? I love what you're doing. I think this is great potential, but I think you need to work on this first before we put the message out. And people appreciate that, and some do it and come back, and we're able to have a great relationship. But the core of what I look for is quality products from black people that I can market to black people.
I think that we're going to have to pound on this segment of marketing.
Yes.
Because I don't think we understand marketing, like we don't understand business. So
Right.
we don't understand marketing. Just look at it. Burger franchises have a store on every corner.
Every corner.
But they're in your face on every venue.
Every
They
venue.
they are advertising on TV, on radio, on the billboards, on the back of buses. Everywhere you look, you see their logo.
That's right.
Now, why would they think that they need to market to you when they right down the street from your house, and then 2 steps later they are
That's right.
they are, because they know that there's a competitive market.
That's right.
And people have to be drawn to it.
That's
they have
right.
to be attracted to it.
That's
So
right.
what kind of marketing message can you make to convince people who want to succeed in business that they need to promote their businesses other than just, I know I got the best peach cobbler out here.
Right.
And all I got to do is make these peach cobblers available and everybody's going to beat a path to my door.
That's right.
What do you tell somebody how do you convince them that they need to market their products and not just depend on the grapevine?
Well, the first thing I do is, there's a good friend of mine who I look to as a mentor, and he told me this story about the old country doctor. You heard that story before?
No, I like stories.
Now, the old country doctor had tons of business in the community. Everyone came to him. He was the family doctor. Young and old came to the old family doctor. Well, the old family doctor died. And then a new family doctor came on the scene. The new family doctor said, hey, there's no family doctor here. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. I'll set up shop, and everyone will come to me. Well, he set up shop. He made sure everything's in place, got a secretary to answer phones, and nobody came in. 1 month went past. Nobody came in. 2, 3, 4 months. After 6 months, he closed up shop and said, these people don't want a family doctor. And he walked away. But he made one mistake. He didn't tell everyone in the community that he was the new family doctor. He didn't go with a flyer and say, hi, my name is Dr. So-and-so. I just opened up shop. Here are my services. Why don't you come down for a free checkup? He didn't do that. And that is our biggest challenge, is marketing. The only way that we as businesses, small businesses, are going to beat the billboards and the advertisements on TV and all the marketing that's out there is with superior marketing. And we don't have to have the huge dollars anymore because we have something brand new on the scene, the internet. Right. And we can use that. And we have the telephone. I tell businesses now, look, when you open up, make a list of everybody you know and call them. I've been in business for a while, and I have to admit, some of my own family members didn't know I was in business till maybe 5 years ago. I thought about it one day because I heard them talking about referring a friend to get marketing from somebody else. I said, what? That's what I do. Right? She would have gladly told me about this person and referred them to me if I had ever told her that's what I did. So that's one thing we don't do, is make sure that every single person that we know is in business. I mean, that we know, that let them know that we are in business. And then once you go online, you have people who have made their career because of YouTube. People have gotten television shows because of YouTube. There are 500 plus million people on Facebook. So there's strategies that we can use that don't cost a lot of money to get that message out, and that's what we have to do today.
Well, that's wonderful to hear that, because back in the day, I once had a small business, and back in that time, when I had the small business, I had some other people around who also were in small business. And one of the things that I knew for certain was that all of us could not get business loans. None of us could get business loans. In fact, I removed my funds from a bank because I had tried to get a business loan. No, I don't know in which order. I tried to get a property loan to make buy a property, and they turned it down. And then I wanted to make a loan for the business. No, to go to school. This was to go to school, to go to graduate school. And they said no. So, and then I wanted to make a loan for business. And the kind of loan they were going to give me was a very short-term line of credit. I think it was it was to be paid back within a few months. That's not a line of credit. That's ridiculous. You can't. That's a balloon mortgage. You know, you gotta it blows up on you, and you have to pay it back right away. So when I found out that this bank was sitting in my community and was taking in the savings of the community, but at least as far as I could tell, they didn't want to loan me any money. So I took the funds out. But what I'm saying is, so if you go into business and you go under your own strength, so you go with your own money, and you go usually with a paycheck or some savings. You don't feel that you have money for the luxury of marketing. Because you've got utilities, you've got rent, you've got insurance, you've got employees, you've got inventory, you've got so many, you've got equipment.
Right,
And
right.
equipment is exorbitant.
Right.
You know, and so you've got all these considerations. Then, of course, because you don't have a line of credit, you cannot buy wholesale. So you're
Right.
buying in small quantities, which means you have to keep repeating these purchases, and you have to keep repeating these visits, because if your purchases aren't of a certain level, at a certain level, they won't deliver
Right.
without a big charge.
Right, that's
So
right.
you find yourself running to the warehouses like you was running to the supermarket for your own family. So the long and short of it is that most small businessmen during the time that I was trying to be a small businesswoman were operating on limited assets and dealing with the licensing, you know, from the city. That's a big part of all of that.
Right, right.
So you're dealing with all of these things, and you don't feel like you can do any marketing. But I could have done, if I had known you, if you had been born, I could have done what you just suggested. Very few people knew that I had gone into business, because I didn't mean to go into business.
Wow.
I actually encouraged my husband to go into business. So I didn't mean to be in business. But then, of course, when you see somebody stretched out,
Right.
then you in business.
and help, that's
So I
right.
had a for real job and had to try to add, you know, being in business to that. And that's why I was able to see it from the inside. But I didn't tell anybody, you know, that we were in business. We put the big, beautiful sign up outside, and actually we needed to define what it was what we were doing.
Right.
Don't presume that people see your sign and they
And they
immediately know what that is you're doing in there.
That's
you
right.
know, and,
That's
and
right.
people that came in out of curiosity. They saw what we were doing, and that some returned, you know, and what have you. But if I had done what you suggested, tell people what you're doing, and then remind people that you're still doing it.
That's right. That's right. That's what the burger places do. The TV, the billboard ads is the reminder. We're still here. You know. And another thing that can happen too is that people who want to support you, people who are willing to support you, family members and friends, they don't know what to do to help. But if you tell them, look, now here's what we're gonna do. Here's my business. Here's who it's for. Here's where you can get more information. Here's where it's located, and here's some of our prices. Call everybody you know and tell them on my behalf that I'm in business. And if it's somebody that knows both of us, tell them, look, they need your help. They don't want you don't have to come in and buy anything, but here's what we offer. We want you to call 100 of your friends, you know, and start, because here's the beautiful thing, and if they do come in, a lot of people will just come in because they want to support. Now, imagine a big billboard ad, a big TV commercial, a big campaign that talks about the best vegetarian burger on the planet.
There's one on the internet right now.
It is?
They're talking about the best vegetarian hot dog. They call it a gourmet.
Gourmet
and when
hot
I found
dog.
out that they were vegetarian, I said, now, you know, I got to go down there to 47th Street.
Oh, I've
Yes.
been there.
Is it
I didn't
all
have the
right?
vegetarian hot dog.
We can't tell the name, but
Delicious
we can say you've been.
Yes.
I'm on my way. Okay.
Yes, I just talked to the owner. That's a case in point.
Okay.
I work on 47th Street.
All right.
I passed it. I saw it when it opened.
Okay.
I pass it every day. But I
Okay.
said, I wonder whose business that is. I wonder who has that.
Okay.
Lo and behold, it's a friend. It's somebody I've been knowing for 10 years at least.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I found out on Wednesday that was his business.
Okay.
I was in there on Thursday.
All right.
But I was going past it every day because I
And you
didn't
will
know.
be back.
And I will be back. Food is delicious. So now imagine, doesn't matter how big the campaign is, how big the corporation is. Once, and you've seen all the ads, but once I say, Dr. Peace, I just had the best gourmet vegetarian hot dog. I'm talking about, I almost drove to Atlanta and slapped my mother. It was so good. And I went yesterday. I went the day before yesterday. And you know what? I'm going tomorrow. You want to go? that would beat out that huge marketing campaign, because
Absolutely.
you know me, and I'm saying how much good
Right,
it is.
right.
That's what we have to do for each other.
In fact, I just had a conversation with a local business person near where I live, and I learned about. I had heard about this business, this franchise. I had seen their name, but I didn't live near where they were. And so I just had seen their name. I was curious about them, and I think they may have showed up on a little segment on a newscast one time or what have you. But then I found that there was one nearer to me than that one. So I went there, and it was a young man, and he said he'd been open, I think, 3 or 4 months, and what have you. And I was just delighted. I was delighted to see him. I was delighted to see this young man trying to have his business. And so I went and I made a campaign.
Right.
I
Go ahead.
I sent out emails to friends of mine who go out and dine a lot, and said, have you been over there, and this and that, and blah, 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 tell them what my experience had been. And then I continued to go back, frequently. And then I really took a real personal interest in it, and I started critiquing stuff.
Right.
And I started saying, well, this, and you need to do this. And one of the things I thought, and I had been told this when I was in business, your menu's too long. You this too much stuff. Because he's trying to cover the waterfront. He's trying to see if he can appeal to every appetite out there, which means that he has to carry too much inventory. He's got to have all the stuff he's trying to do. He's trying to do soul. He's trying to do Mexican. He's trying to do Italian. He's trying to do Jamaican.
I think I know what you're talking about.
He is in every country.
Yes,
he is in every country. I said, you got too much stuff on here, and you need to limit this kind of stuff. And then, of course, things about that we see other businesses have challenges with is running out of stuff.
Right.
If it's on that menu, it better be in here.
Have it. That's right.
So I said, you can't tell me you don't have this. You go to send somebody to the store.
Right. That's right. Out the back door, go to the store.
That's right. So, and he would appreciate. He was very appreciative, and I told him, I said, you're gonna hear from me if something is not the way that I think that it could be. I said, because I want you to stay in business. So one day he found out that I had a television show, and he said, Miss Peace, I didn't know you had a television show. What's it about? I said, it's about how to try to keep black people in business, black people like you in business. But of course, I do want to promote my own people and their businesses. I like to promote, as you say, the same thing: quality products, quality services. People who have some integrity. And won't just do anything for $1. But I want to do what I've always been inclined to do, and that is cheer. Be a cheerleader.
Just cheer them
on, because you can't do everything yourself.
That's right. That's such a wonderful point. And just like somebody running a marathon, when they see people on the sidelines cheering them on, it gives them
second win.
It gives them a second win, right? So, of course, when we find businesses that are at a certain level and we see how far they can go, if they are at that point quality enough for me to promote, I cheer them on. And I tell them, I say, look, I just called 5 of my friends, and I told them how great you were. I told them how wonderful the food is, and they'll be on their way tomorrow. Now, whatever he may have been going through or she was going through that was counter to focusing on business, It's out their mind now because they got to live up to a reputation I just gave them. So now when people come, oh, we had a wonderful time. They had this customer service is great. Yeah. Part of it is because they want that for themselves, and then we keep saying it. It keeps giving them the image to live up to. So everyone comes in there and gets great service because they know that's what everyone is saying about them.
I was at the credit union, and I was busy filling out my little paperwork, and I was talking to the clerk. And I said, have you been to, she said, no, I didn't. I said, honey, you got to go. And then some other woman who was working over there, she drew nearer. She wanted to hear about this. Because you can do that. You can do that, and you don't have to expend any extra energy.
That's right.
Instead of talking about the weather or not talking to people at all, you can talk about these good things. Dr. Margaret Burroughs was my teacher. My art teacher in high school. And when she started the DuSable Museum, it was in her house. And it was when I took my classes there as a young school teacher, part of it was in her living room and dining room where, furniture used to be. And her husband was a curator and what have you. And some of my children were a little bit disappointed because I told them we were going to the museum, and we had been to the Field Museum, and we had been to the planetarium and the aquarium and the Museum of Science and Industry, so they had seen these huge edifices and they expected that. And so when they came and they saw this little place, they were disappointed, and it was a little coin box where they could drop a little collection in there. She was standing in her vision.
That's right.
She was and I was proud of it.
That's right.
I never had a class that I didn't take to the DuSable Museum. And I made them understand that other people had museums, that kept the things that were valuable to them, and we could have a museum too. Well, now when you look out across the park and see that building, and you see Dr. Carol Adams getting down over there.
That's right.
When you see that, then you understand that if we just support each other, we can go there. We can, no matter how small this small business is, it doesn't have to remain small.
That's right.
If we contribute and if we support and we find ways to, like you say, if you don't support with money, get on the phone and call somebody. And now you're talking about the internet.
That's right.
Email, you got an email mailing list.
That's right.
Tell
everybody. Tell the world about it. That's right. That's the beauty about studying businesses. I think it may be the biggest seller of donuts and coffee in the country right now. Started off with one push cart selling somebody else's coffee and somebody else's donuts on the push cart. And now they're all over the country. We don't realize oftentimes where a business starts.
Right.
And how they get that initial support, and that the business has to be able to share vision. The business also has to be able to tell the customers, we appreciate your support. We're glad you came in today. The money that you paid today helped us keep the lights on. And tomorrow we're going to be here. And 5 years from now we're going to be here. We're going to be creating jobs in the community. And 10 years from now we're going to be donating to the schools. And they have to be able to share the vision too of where they're going with the community, so that the community feels a part of it and involved.
What you just said is profound, because I had that experience.
Really?
I know, I'm not from my own business, but I once belonged to a church, and the minister wanted to move out of the facility where the church was. And so he started going around and he started looking at these great big churches, because this was during a period when a lot of communities that had been exclusively white were changing over. And so when they would leave their homes, they would also leave these buildings that they had been using. So he was out in these areas like this, and he was looking at properties, and he finally found one that he thought would meet their needs. He did a very smart thing. He took a camera crew with him, and he walked through that building, And they took video of all the rooms, and he stood and said, we'll have this in here, and we'll have that in there. He showed that video at a church service.
Wow.
He showed that video, and he said, I need such and such amount of money in order to be able to do this. Let me tell you, folks got busy. I got busy. I gave more money to that particular church than I had ever given at any single time to anything.
Wow.
And people were talking about different stuff. One woman went home and sold her typewriter. She didn't have no money. She sold her typewriter. I mean, folks just, they turned, because they saw the vision. And let me tell you, he didn't disappoint them. He couldn't get that church because the community was not ready to turn that one over. So the library board bought the building to keep that building, you know, from being turned over to that.
Right.
But eventually, he built not just a church, but he built a school, he built a restaurant, he built the school was not a school dedicated just to young people, but it was a school to training ministers.
Wow.
So he did some building. He built himself a little village over there on 79th Street, just between Damon and Western. So he with his vision, he was able to get people to see where he was trying to go, and they went with him. They continued to go with him, but he moved further away than I was, and I didn't continue. But the point was that he did what you said. He showed his vision to people. If you can get people to see what you are seeing, where you're headed, and if you can get them to buy into it, to embrace it,
that's right,
then you got some support.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
And you deserve it. If you can sell your vision and people support it, you deserve it.
That's right. You know, and the best of us have a vision that includes other people's vision, right? And their goals and desires, and shows them something that they can be a part of that's bigger than themselves. That's the key to leadership right there. He did what every business should be doing. It's telling people, you support me, I'll be creating jobs. You send people to me to get hired. You keep sending money here to help me take care of my family in this place. And here, you know, when people see that, then I'll go by that person's place and patronize it, because not only do I know he looked like me, but he has a vision that's going to help the whole community. And I'll make sure I'm not going somewhere else to get my nails done or whatever. Right. Or whatever it is.
Because it's not that hard to do.
It's not.
You know, it's not that hard to do. Everybody knows somebody who is in business doing something. They know that person personally.
That's
not
right.
just a recommendation, but they know that person personally. And it may not occur to you how this person got in business or how they stay in there.
That's right.
But if you're not supporting it, then you know they're not staying in there because of you.
That's right.
You know.
Yep. And here's something else that I'm doing that's so critical and important. Every business needs to unite with each other and I try to find as much product from black-owned businesses that I can buy for me and my family as possible. And then what do? Not only do I buy from them, but I say, hey, I have a service. Now, even when my money may be running slow, I have 20 businesses that I go buy from them. So when I in turn ask them to buy from me, what do? Yeah. That's an investment.
It's called reciprocity in the African community.
That's right. Reciprocity.
Right. Reciprocity. Right. And you know, there's just not enough of that because I don't know how we think or if we think. But we have to start thinking.
That's right.
When somebody brought it to my attention that there was a black credit union. I said, what?
Really?
Yes.
There's
yes,
a black credit
there
union.
is a black credit union sitting right in the heart of the south side of Chicago.
You talking about an institution
I'm talking about an institution.
that can give you a line of credit
A black credit union is sitting,
that holds people's money.
a black credit union is sitting right off the
What?
Dan Ryan on 55th Street.
Who knew?
Well, when I found it out, I was so delighted I didn't know what to do. And I knew one of the things that we sometimes have is trepidation about trying new people you don't know or whatever. But I knew that if it's a federal credit union, I knew that they had to operate by the same
Right, the
terms.
same terms.
I knew that any insurance or any guarantees that
Right.
were given to other credit unions were being given to this one.
Right.
So I was at no greater risk
Right.
in that one than I would be in any other one.
Right.
And it was just a big thrill to me to just
That's
find
beautiful.
out. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't wait to go to open an account there. It's a wonderful thing. It just ought to excite us when we find out. I have a niece who decided to become a cosmetologist. Her parents had tried to steer her in all kinds of directions, but this is what she decided to do. And I was apprehensive because she wanted to do a lot of stuff, and I wanted her to do a little stuff, and take little baby steps
Right.
because I don't want her to get out here and get in trouble. She had more confidence in herself than that, and so she stepped out. She stepped out, and she stepped out so good that she was almost overwhelmed. The next thing I knew, she was opening up another one, and then I was really apprehensive because now now you got this one. This is running well. It's
Right.
it's doing very well, and what have you. So, please, are you really okay? You're going to do this? Oh, you're going to do that too? So she did another one. But at the same time, she does all these other things, which was concerning me because I said, how are you going to, all these balls in the air, how are you going to be an event planner and you're going to operate 2 salons and you're going to, what else was she doing? I don't know, several other things. Oh, she travels all around the country. When people have big, important things to do, they want her to come be their stylist. So she goes, she even leaves here and goes and does that kind of stuff. She's very young, and she's doing all this stuff, and she does it well, and she keeps it all in tow. So I named her Madam C.J. Lisa, because she's not afraid.
Right.
And that's the other thing. If
That's
you're
right.
going to be in business, you can't be scared.
You can't be. That's right. That's right.
You got to
to
have
overcome it.
confidence.
That's
You
right.
got to know you're competent. You got to know you can do this. You got to believe in yourself, and then you got to believe in yourself to the extent that even little old ladies like me that are scared for you finally breathe a sigh of relief and say, really? Well, I'm coming down there and get my hair did.
That's right.
Because, if you, I got to come down there and take pictures,
That's right. That's right.
So
Go ahead.
when you see young people, she could have had all kinds of professions, her parents were willing to send her to every kind of college and let her take up every kind of, profession, but she saw that as being what she wanted to do. So your passion, that's what
That's
I'm
right.
moving into now. You said your passion, that's how you got started.
Right.
Because how do you know you got the passion for promotion?
Well, I've always loved people, and it took other people to tell me, how do you know so many people? How do you? And I speak to people, and everywhere I go, I make friends, and I do that by sharing good news. I'm the kind of person, if I hear somebody died, I'm not the one to share that. I hate to share bad news. Like, you heard someone say, yeah, I heard. I didn't. I want to share good news. So such a great way. When I was at the Final Call newspaper, even getting into communications, I love to spread good news. So this is what I love to do. And I love to connect people. So,
well, connecting people is easier to do these days than spreading good news. Because I get a lot of email and I get a lot of information.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
It is.
You know, and I have to just remind myself that as bad as things are, things have been worse. They can get worse. But that, you know, if you listen to the Negro National Anthem, lift every voice and sing, you know, and that verse that says, we have come over a way that through that with tears have been watered.
Right,
we have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered.
Right.
Now, when you remind yourself of that, then you know that we are invincible as a people.
That's right.
And we have to keep that before us, that we have been on this planet for millions of years. We have seen it all.
That's right. We have seen it all.
We have always prevailed. We have always transcended whatever it is. So we need not deify these people, you know, and decide that, you know, they God and they gonna mess up the planet and they gonna ruin everybody's life. They may make things challenging. They have done that.
Right.
But they can't, you know,
cannot.
they didn't create the planet
That's right.
and the universe. So, you know, we can't have to worry too much about them taking the planet
down. They can just use what's already been put here.
Absolutely.
You know, that's such an important point. If we, see, right now we're in a state, in a position where we have agreed to what somebody else said about us. And when we get out of amnesia and remember who we are, what we're going through right now is like, oh, this is nothing. We can overcome this once we realize who we are.
Once we resolve.
That's right. To overcome.
I had a relative who lost his job. And he was very despondent. He's a family man. He provides for his family. He's, you know, his reputation is he's a father and a husband and a good provider, and a son and a grandson and a nephew. You know, he's a wonderful person. And he lost his job and he was devastated. And his wife said, well, why are you upset? She said, you said you always wanted to go in business.
Right.
So now go on in business.
That's right.
I mean, these are young people. These were young people in their 20s. And this is what she's telling her husband. Okay, so this is what you said you want to do. Do it.
Go do it.
And he did that.
Go ahead.
He did that. With her support, with her willingness. That's the other piece.
That's right.
The other piece is we have got to agree to support that one of us who wants to go into business.
That's right.
Because perhaps he will do what you say, create a job or some jobs.
And it sounds like she believed in him.
Absolutely.
When he was shaky about even believing in himself, but because he believed in her, and she in turn believed in him, now he's a business owner.
And
Look
you know
at
what
that.
he told me?
What's that?
Said she was his ride or die woman. Which is
every brother wants a ride or die woman.
A ride, he said she was his ride or die woman, and that's what we all need. We need ride or die family members.
That's right.
Gonna stick with us to the end. Gonna believe in us. Because if we don't, if our young people don't see the model, if they don't see black people in business, they can never conceive of themselves as being business people.
You know what? That's so true, and that's why I love champion businesses today, because if they don't rise to the occasion, if we don't rise to the occasion, we're leaving. There's no other community, Dr. Peace. There's no other community whose worth is identified by the type of job they have working for somebody else. Nobody, no other community has that kind of value.
Right.
Ours is, well, who are you working for? How much money are you making?
Right.
Like you
Or
said in the
they
beginning, we
step
have
up
to
to
be
you and say,
producers.
I'm with so-and-so. Okay.
That's right.
Right. Right.
And we turn our nose at the small business owner. We don't want to set up a little small store like other people in our community are doing. And they're sending their children to the finest colleges off of the money.
We're sending their children
We're
to
sending.
the finest colleges. Come on.
That's right. We're sending.
Right.
With this $1 trillion we spend every year in nickels and dimes.
Right.
So yes, we have to be the producers so we can create a new future. And so, we had some prosperity with Black Wall Street, Marcus Garvey, and the whole Harlem Renaissance. There was some prosperity. And then I think we got a few things mixed up.
Well, we got bombed out of the Wall Street in Oklahoma.
The first bombing on U.S. soil.
Absolutely. They
That's
bombed
right.
black people.
Because they knew the power of what was being created.
Right.
They knew the power.
Right.
Yep. And then there was, it was a marketing scheme. It was a marketing scheme, and because our desire was never to let our businesses be destroyed. Our desire was just to be able to go to a water fountain.
Right.
Or go to the bathroom.
Right.
When we found out the water tastes the same and bathroom smelled the same. But we took all our money out.
Right.
Because then more marketing came in and we took our dollars out. So that's why it's so important now for us to champion black businesses so that we can say, hey, no, this is a better way. Hey, yes, look at what so-and-so is doing. Look at what they're doing. They're prosperous. They're themselves. They don't have to be two people. A lot of us that are trying to have our own business, we have two voices. So if somebody calls me that's doing business with me and I'm at work, hey, how you doing? Come on, we got to be two people.
Right.
Like, who is this? This is Bobby. Oh, what's up, dude? We have to, be ourselves, and we can be ourselves and be proud and productive people.
Right. Now, I want you to know they've been sending me a signal telling me we're about to go off the air.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think that, we didn't finish because we just having a good time here. So I think I would like you to stay over, if you will.
I would love to.
Okay. All right. So I can tell, this is what I want to tell my audience. I want to encourage you to find black businesses and support them, to make a conscious effort to do business in your community with people of your own kind, and make yourself a resolution that you're going to begin on, what good would be Black Friday be if all of that was black about it was that other businesses got into black and our businesses remained in the red. So I'm hoping that this message goes out far and wide, and I'll see you around in some black enterprise. Hotep.
Emotion is the message, a call from unity.
For a long, long time, we've been deceived by the illusion. We're called by different names, and this has served to just confuse us. When all is said and done, to be one's our revolution. We never stand alone, 'cause unity's our resolution.
Emotion is the message, a call for unity.